everyone, it is Tanya from Berry Fun Yarns and the Berry Fun Adventures podcast, coming to you today with a vlog of sorts. I'm getting ready to go on a road trip vacation with my family through the Black Hills of South Dakota, and I need to figure out what it is I want to take along to pack, because I'm not talking about clothing. That's something that I just throw in at the last minute. I'm talking about knitting projects or crafting projects. What I decided to do is to kind of go through all my projects to figure out what it is I wanted to make. In the past couple months, if you've been following me on the podcast, you will know that I have been very busy with life in the farm and with helping raise some kittens that we were fostering. So I haven't had very much time to knit, and in fact I've spent a lot of time doing deadline knitting. And for this vacation I want to do what I want to do regardless of the deadline. So my first step, I decided, was I'm going to pull out all of my projects. I keep track of my projects on Ravelry, and I know that I have 13 projects right now. And so I'm going to pull them all out. I'm going to put them on my bed here behind me, and then I'm going to kind of separate them into categories like blankets, socks, that sort of thing. And then I'm going to ask myself some questions, which I will tell you about in a minute. So if you're planning a vacation trip, it might help you narrow down what to take. And then I will figure out which ones I'm actually going to pack. So thanks for watching, and here we go. Okay, I'm back. I'm sitting here in front of this leaning tower of projects, and it seems like there are more than 13. But when I went to my Ravelry page, I realized, I wrote it down, the reason it looks like so much partly is because 6 of my 13 projects are blankets. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that this year is supposed to be the year of the blanket. But I sort of feel like the year of the blanket has kind of gotten carried away in that I keep casting on blankets, but I don't actually finish blankets. Looking at these, I really want to spend some time working on some blankets. So first off is my son's temperature blanket. If you have been following me for a while, you know that I'm working on this blanket. It is for him to take to college, and he leaves for college on August 17th. So it's very, very soon. Now, of course, he's not going to need it for a while, but I know myself, when it comes to deadline knitting, if I push the deadline back, I'm only going to wait to do it until 2 weeks before the deadline, regardless of when the deadline is. So I am going to take this, and I did spend some time, I had thought about this before I started recording. I spent some time trying to figure out how many rows or days of the temperature blanket I could do each day and still be finished by the time we have his graduation party on August 12th. And I figured out if I did 4 a day, which is about 1 hour of knitting between now and then, that I would be able to finish it. So that's going to be my goal. I'm going to take it along. It is kind of a big bag with my yarn. I do need to double check. Now here's a tip. If you're taking something like a temperature blanket, make sure you have the right yarn. So by that I mean each 8 to 10 degrees of the blanket is a different color yarn in this blanket. So what I need to do is I need to double check that the right colors, I have enough in my blanket. So I'm going to do that later. I'm going to set this aside for now because I know this for sure is going to be one thing I'm taking with. Now, I asked myself some questions. I wrote down some questions to ask myself when I was trying to figure out what it was I wanted to take out of this pile. And some of the questions I wrote were anything that I really, is there anything that I need to get done, like sooner rather than later? And that, of course, would be this blanket that I was just talking about. Now, I could take all of the things that I need to get done, but I'm going to limit myself to this one big one, and then my son also, I make my kids a little microwave bowl cozy to take with them to college, a couple of washcloths that I either crochet or I knit, and some little scrubbies that I crochet. So I haven't started the bowl cozy or the scrubbies or the washcloths, but those are super fast. So I'm going to take this blanket and then the yarn, the cotton yarn, to make those scrubbies with me. And I'm going to pull that right now so I don't forget. And I will link, I've made these before, I'll link my project page for those, the pattern I used below. So if you want to follow along, if you ever want to make some of these. But I'm going to take this, and then I need to double check what size crochet hook for this and what size needles for this. So that's going to be step 2 after I narrow down my projects. But I'm going to put this in the project to knit spot, to pack I should say. Now, so anything I need to get done soon. When you're going on a vacation, okay, yes, it's a lot of time to get something done that you need or want to get done, but it should be relaxing and fun. So if those are 2 in the same, fabulous, pack whatever you want. But for me right now, the deadline knitting is not making my heart grow 2 sizes. So what is making my heart grow is my favorite blanket. So this leads me to my second question on the list. What do I want to work on? What am I drawn to work on? And that is my favorite blanket. And that is a knit along with Kay and Dan from the Bakery Bears podcast. Sort of a look at it. And that is with 50 gram. It's a knit along that's going throughout the year. And they release one section there's 12 sections every month, approximately, maybe 3 weeks, because towards the end of the year they double up. And I am about 3 months behind or 3 clues behind, because I have been so busy at the farm. So I'm going to pack this one to go in there as well. Those are going to be my 2 big projects that I take with me. And I think I do need to pick out some more yarn for this, but I'll do that again after I have narrowed down my projects. Now, I think that was it. Those were my 2 main questions. What do I have to work on, and what do I want to work on? Now, in those categories, I decided I have these 2 big blankets. These are great for when we're driving in the car and we're sitting for hours in between stops that we're going to. But maybe not so great for on the go. You want something smaller to take with you, which my washcloths, bowl cozies, scrubbies, those will be perfect for that. However, I am also working on, let's see where it is, I'm working on a design for the Advent Countdown Kit. And I have the pattern mostly written, but I want to finish one full sample of the 10 gram pattern so that I can finish it enough to know how I want it to finish, and then I can send it on to some test knitters so that I know that my maths and all that jazz are pretty much correct, because this is the first pattern I've ever written. So I'm going to take that, and this will be a mystery, but for now I'm not going to show you what it looks like, but in the coming weeks I hope to give you a sneak peek of what it is. Okay, so that can be an on-the-go one. That's it's not as small as socks or a washcloth, but it is small enough to take, like, say, when I'm going for an hour drive from our Airbnb to a cave tour or something like that. Okay, and then, so now I've got 1, 2, 3, I'm going to count those washcloths as one project, 4 projects that I am taking with me. So realistically, I probably don't need to take anything else along. This will keep me busy. However, I am an avid believer in a sock. Always take a sock with you if you are a sock knitter, because sometimes a sock is what you need. So right now I am going to pull a sock, and I'm going to pull this one that I'm working on. It is for my son who's going to college again. It would be nice to finish the socks for him. If you didn't watch my last episode, it is the heel toe do-si-do pattern by Kay of Crazy Sock Lady Designs. So I'm going to pull that. Now, I think that's plenty. The thing about vacation knitting is that you always think that you're going to need more than you do, but you end up having too much. All right, so I'm going to put everything else back into the cubbies where I keep them, and then we're going to go about pulling out some yarn. Set. I have my 2 blankets ready. I do still need to wind the yarn for the next section for my favorite blanket, so that I have set aside, and I'm going to do that after I'm done recording here. I have my mini skeins all set up in this one, and then this one has my new project that I'm going to do with the with the dishcloth and the scrubbies, so that's all ready. I did decide as I was looking through these that I am not really feeling socks right now. So since I do want to get these done, but it's not urgent, I'm going to leave this home, and instead I'm going to take along this small little pouch, which is a cross stitch project that I am working on for my for someone, I almost said who it was, for someone for Christmas. So not urgent, but a little different. So if I'm in the mood for something different than knitting, then I will have this. And it's very compact in its little pouch. So I think that's it. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. So it might look like I have a lot. I have these 2 medium-ish bags and then these 2 big bags. But what I decided I'm going to do is when I am driving in the car, I'm going to keep one of the blankets with me at all time up front, and one of the smaller projects with me. So I think that's it. I think I have gotten myself organized. I'm ready to go on my vacation. I have a few more things to wind, but I have my patterns, my yarn, my knitting tools. You will have seen me take in some stitch markers, a tapestry needle, a scissors, tape measure, those essential things that you may need when you're traveling that you won't have at a hand's reach in your house. All right. Well, thank you for joining me for this quick little snippet vlog of what I'm taking with me on vacation. And I will be back in a couple weeks letting you know how much progress I made on all of these. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a good one. Bye-bye.